security and why it is relevant in smart city. It is all about smart services delivered to citizens, be it smart water management, garbage management, traffic control, congestion control. All these services make the life of citizens better, and that's why we are going in that era of providing smart services. So some of the examples of smart cities that have been done so far, and we can learn from them. For example, Barcelona uses technology a lot, and it is on the forefront of smart cities today globally. What they have done, there are several projects they have embarked upon, and most of the projects are successful. So it's good to learn from their success, what they have done so far, learn from their mistakes, and better them at everything that we do now. What they are doing, one of the examples cited here, they are collecting data as to the efficiencies of energy management being used in various buildings that they have. And energy, as we already know, is a scarce resource. So it's very important to manage it properly. The same goes for street lighting. If there is no one on the street, there is no point having it lit. So there are technologies in place which can be used to minimize the wastage of energy at every level. Copenhagen again does a lot of water management. So typically 40% of the water gets wasted before it gets delivered to the households due to leakage and other stuff. And I'm sure 40% is the figure. If it's there, we would be even worse than that. Today they have, from 40% they have come down to 7% wastage in water. And with the leakage detectors, smart billing, they have been able to do that. And I think we should be looking at what they have done and how they have been successful in doing so, and again embark on the same process or take the learnings from there. Singapore, it's the neighboring country, so most of us have visited, and we know the quality of life there. The traffic management, because land is scarce there and there are so many vehicles, so how can you maximize the usage of public transport, taxis, and how can you leverage the footprint, pollution footprint on the roads, or minimize that is very important. Singapore is a live example of that, and I'm sure there are a lot of learning we can have. So these are the things that we can do, or we would like to do when we are embarking on a smart city project. However, what it takes to get onto a smart city. A very important factor when we are going into a smart city is how we can use the IoT. IoT is a new term, everybody, it's again a buzzword. Internet of Things, people are talking about it. But what makes IoT? IoT is nothing but information technology that we've been using so far, and operational technology. Operational technology is basically what you see in the factories, the ICS system, the SCADA systems, the operational technologies, the sensors, they make OT. Today, if you see IT is managed by different set of people, they're mostly into enterprises. OT is SCADA system, ICS systems, in exploration, oil and gas, you would see in traffic control systems, hospitals, and then you have smart objects like smart meters. The amalgamation of all these smart objects, operational technology, and information technology gives you Internet of Things. However, the problem when we get into IoT is the large and complex attack surface. Since we are dealing with so many different things now, be it IT, be it OT, be it smart objects, the attack surface grows to a vast level. So there are various ways we can attack them, bring them down, compromise them, and we'll see some examples of that as well. Before we go into the attack surface, I would like to little drill down in what we mean by IT and what are the fundamental differences between an IT and OT. The first, connectivity. IT is very, very parallel world. It is any-to-any connectivity, mostly IP network based. Whereas operational technology, OT, is hierarchical in nature. It's mostly into proprietary networks, proprietary protocols. Now they ride over IP, but still there are proprietary protocols. Few people understand them. And not much interoperability available there. The network posture, if you see, in an IT world, we talk about CI. Confidentiality is very important. Then integrity. Availability is important, but least when we talk about between the CIA triad. Whereas in OT world, availability is of paramount nature. You cannot, even if the network gets breached, you cannot take it down. For example, electricity. You cannot live with electricity. There cannot be any downtime in there. If we talk about interfaces, it's mostly the things we use, browsers, operating systems like Windows, Unix. It's mostly GUI based. We are more familiar with that. The interfaces in OT world are electromechanical. They are sensors, actuators, PLC systems. Response to attack. The fundamental when it comes to security. If an IT environment gets attacked, you can shut down the system, you can quarantine, do forensics, and then bring it back on. Whereas in an OT, it has to be non-stop operations. There cannot be any delay, even if it breach. So you have to do response when the network is on. You cannot take it down and do response. It has to be live response. So live response is very important when you talk about OT. What happens when IoT fails? One of the examples that I've cited here, blackout, which affected 10 million people in Ontario and other 8 cities. Now see, what are the effects if an IoT system goes down and you are part of a smart city, so-called smart city. They are not exactly a smart city, but close to that. 508 generating units at 265 power plants were shut down. Water systems in several cities lost pressure. There was no water, drinking water. New York City had 3,000 fire calls, 3,000 places where the fire engines were required. 75,000 distress calls. Mobile networks overloaded and were disrupted, so no calls. Hundreds of flights were cancelled. Connectivity is an issue. And eventually the state lost billions of dollars in cost. This is what is an impact when IoT goes down. So we have to take IoT systems pretty seriously. When we are embarking on a smart city project, we have to think about the things that can break down if these infrastructures break down. Another example, Ukraine, the power went down. It was an attack by hackers in December 2015. And the attackers were present in the system for 6 months, and then it was they were very sophisticated attackers, nation-state attack, and then they brought down the entire grids, so no electricity because of the hack. And what they also did was, if electricity, anything goes down, there are alert systems that you put in place. So the alerts get sounded off, and then people start working on it. So what they did initially, before the attack, they brought down the alert systems, so that even when the power goes off, there are no automatic alerts until people start calling you. The airports in Istanbul, they were attacked. The passport control system was brought down. Germany, again, Customs Investigation Bureau and Federal Police were infected. Their systems were infected. San Francisco, the rapid system. Imagine Metro, Delhi Metro. If anything happens to it, the life will come to a standstill. And these are the type of attacks that can be mounted. Leon Panetta, who is the former Secretary of Defense, he gave this statement, and it's very, very true today. Cyber is now at a point where the technology is there to cripple a country, to take down our power grid systems, to take down our government systems, take down our financial system, and literally paralyze the country. And this is what can happen if IoT fails. So what we are suggesting? We are suggesting a cyber resilient smart city. We cannot guarantee that there won't be any attack or disruption. Disruptions are bound to happen. Attacks are inevitable. Breaches are inevitable. They will happen no matter what. But you can be resilient. So what is resilient? In plain dictionary word, the resilience is the ability of an ecosystem to return to its original state after being disturbed. And cyber resilience is capability to withstand negative impacts due to known, predictable, unknown, unpredictable. Now, the factor of unknown and unpredictable is too much in IoT because you cannot envisage all the cases in which they will go down. So you really have to be able to detect or know beforehand those unknown and unpredictable cases, uncertain, unexpected threats from activities in cyberspace. So this is what we are trying to propagate here. When we embark on a secure IoT project, there are certain fundamental truths we have to keep in mind before embarking on it. Before creating any strategy on cyberspace, on cybersecurity, without even coming to a cyber policy, we have to keep three fundamental things in mind, and we have been doing it for years now. We bring in global exposure as FireEye, the #1 organization in the world which respond to all nation-state breaches. So any nation-state breach that happens today, almost any, the first company they call in is FireEye for that breach. Even the attacks which happened in nearby country, the Bangladesh bank attack, we were the first one as the responders there. So there are the three fundamental truths that we have learned. First, breaches are inevitable. No matter how secure you make it, the breaches will happen. And so you have to be prepared for the breach scenario. What if we get breached? And I think a lot of people have talked about go with the thought that you are already being breached and then think of how do you react. So incident response is very important. We all mostly come from IT background, so I'll tell you, 60% of the budgets around 3-4 years back was going into protection technologies. We were thinking that, okay, if we build a strong castle, the boundaries, then we are good. We didn't invest in detection technology or post-breach scenarios. Gartner today says is that invest first in what will happen if the things get breached and then bolster your defense strategies. So it's important to have walls, but also think about what if those walls get broken. That is very important afterthought. The second, we all would agree there is no silver bullet when it comes to security. You have to keep fine-tuning it. Buying a product, deploying it doesn't solve it. You need to continue to involve that product. You need to continue to invest in people who look into that product. I've seen a lot of, including I stay in an apartment. The first thing you do is put security cameras. My apartment, it's not a very big apartment, but it has more than 35 security cameras today. But we don't have people monitoring those cameras. No point having those cameras and doing forensics later if you cannot have a person monitoring it on a daily basis. The last fundamental truth is stop thinking it as a malware problem. In IT, we are all bothered about malware. Okay, my computer, my server, my network got infected. Okay, let's clean it up and get back to work. It will not happen that any longer. You need to think about attacker. Why the malware came in first place into that computer? Who was behind it? And what is the goal of that attacker? Because if you remove the malware, he'll come back again with another malware. Then again with another. And he will keep trying until he succeeds. And that's the biggest problem. Until you think of it as an attacker problem and then try to solve that problem. Because now you will know who is the attacker, what is the motive behind it, what are the different ways he can come into your environment, and then solve that problem. It will give you more context, it will allow you easily to prioritize your resources towards that attacker. Some of the recommendations that we carry from what we have seen till today, being in that industry. The first thing, when we are embarking, every city today is going for a smart city project. They are in that race. 20 cities have been discovered so far. Our first recommendation would be, I have not seen this happening, so that would be my humble recommendation that we go on, embark on these recommendations. The first is to have city certs. You will have different projects within the city to make it more smart. Have a central city cert. Who knows which department is facing cyber challenge? Which program is facing cyber challenge? All organizations in silos cannot take on that cybersecurity issue. You have to have a city cert, a department within a city that takes care of these specific problems in cyberspace. The second thing you need to do is, after you have a cert, have a cybersecurity framework for that city. Not every city is same. You will have 80% similarities, but there would be unique points for every state. Every state has different, they behave in different ways, they have different geographies, different size, different type of threats. Some are on the boundary, so they have border conflicts. Some are more financial inclined, like Mumbai, which will have more financial kind of threats there. So you need to have a cybersecurity framework for that city, which will tie back to your national cybersecurity framework, but then create one for your city, which will span across all your smart city projects. And then make funding for cybersecurity personnel a very, very key point. No point embarking on these projects when you do not have qualified people looking at it. So you need to invest now. The cities will be coming up in year, 2 years, 3 years timeline, but you need to invest today in those cybersecurity professionals. That will be your go-to person in case a breach happens, in case you require them to respond. Also, perform quarterly cybersecurity exercises. So we create policies, but how often do we go back, fine-tune them and see whether they are valid in today's space or not? So have your test ready. Check the readiness and reliability of your response plans. Do mock drills. Do it often. There are many ways of doing that. Red teaming exercise, penetration testing, other ways. So red teaming, take penetration testing one further. Penetration test, basically people will become or act like attackers, same people, and then attack your networks and see what are the loopholes. Red teaming takes it one step further, wherein you will have certain set of people who will attack the network, and then also have certain people within your network try to defend it, and then see what are the defenses which work, what are the defenses that didn't work, and then fine-tune them, hone them, so that you are prepared for those attacks. Remember one thing, you are getting penetration test every hour. Whether you want it or not, you will get penetration test. So better you do it yourself. And then last, prepare for the worst, as I said, and create a threat model for every conceivable scenario. All the different countries have embarked on cybersecurity policies, so we can take learnings from there. You don't have to create it from the scratch. Last thing I wanted to talk about, this is what will happen if you do not have an IoT policy in place or the framework in place. Is anybody aware of Shodan engine? So what it does today, it is like Google of internet for smart devices, IoTs. Yesterday only I checked Shodan, and you type India there and you will see even some of our power distribution companies main routers and their IP address. What are the ports open? How can you log in into it there? You can today log in into different webcams or security cameras installed in India and see a live feed because they were not configured when they were put. There are certain shop cameras available, certain public department cameras available in this database. This is what can happen if you do not regulate IoT. Thank you.